Welcome to Boating Georgian Bay TV.
We're here in Port McNicoll at the SS Keewatin. Eric Conroy, the honorary captain of the ship, is going to give us an insider's tour. So Eric, tell me about what your favorite memories are on the boat.
Well, there's so many of them. It was just at 17 years old in the early 60s, you just couldn't have asked for a better summer job. It was money, it was adventure, it was girls. I mean, it was a terrific way to spend your time as a youth.
Now, were you from the area here to start with, or you had a connection, didn't you, to get on?
Well, a connection, yeah. I was a kid from downtown Toronto, and the family used to spend our summers in Little Lake Park. They used to you could rent tent platforms and put a tent up for the summer in Little Lake Park right in Midland. And we'd been doing that from the time I was 8 till I was 17. And at 17, through a series of circumstances, I got the opportunity to get the job on the ship, and I worked on here when I was 17 and 18 in those two summers, 63 and 64.
Right. Fantastic. Had something to do with the father trying to keep you away from his daughter, didn't it?
That's exactly what it
He went and got you a job, right?
He got me the job, and I never did see the girl again.
And you were probably younger than the typical ship hand or the typical waiter on the ship.
I was a high school student, and most of the waiters were university students.
Right. And now you're the honorary captain of the ship, and you're the head of the foundation. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. And I got the privilege to buy the ship, negotiate for the purchase. I supervised the actual getting her ready to bring her back, all of the excavation that had to be done, dredging in the little lake where it was to bring it back, and then I supervised the ship right back to tying up here in Port McNicoll.
Well, it's a fabulous ship and a great piece of history. Let's have a tour.
Sure, absolutely. Follow me.
Okay. So Eric, we're here in front of the barber shop. So this ship actually had a barber here full time. Tell me a little bit about what was that.
He was full time. He did this job for 30 years. He was on here when I was on here in the late 60s, or in 63, 64. He actually was the barber at Hart House at University of Toronto in the wintertime. And he did this in the summertime, and he had a cottage close by. And when he passed away, his family had kept everything. And when we brought the ship back, they gave us back all of his barbering equipment and souvenirs. As you can see, we have a whole cabinet of souvenirs here, which has been the kind of thing that tourists back in those days would have bought and worn around on the ship. I mean, believe it or not, they used to wear those funny hats.
How much was a haircut back then?
Well, his prices are there, but for the crew, we used to do them for $1.
For $1.
$1.
And he used to sleep in there in the barber shop.
Bunk was in there. He really wasn't a member of the crew.
Right.
He was like a contractor.
Right.
So he just contracted, and there was one on the other ship, the Assiniboia, was a woman for 30 years.
Okay.
So it was part of a first-class service.
And he'd be busy through the day
busy
doing
through
haircuts?
the day doing haircuts, and reputed he could pull teeth, but I don't know that he ever actually did that. And he actually would sell souvenirs, and he would also handle the post office. He would sell stamps and handle mail.
Right, cool, very good. Eric, this reminds me a bit of the Titanic on a smaller scale. Where are we here?
Well, we're 5 years older than the Titanic, so you mean the Titanic would have reminded you of this?
Yes,
so we had to put that.
right.
Yeah. These ships were all built between 1900 and 1920, and they were called Edwardian steamers or Edwardian schooners, and they're classic because they all had a very pointed bow and a sculptured stern, and they paid very much attention to the detail inside. So grand staircases were in most ships. Titanics were somewhat bigger than these, but I have several of them. This is of the period, and it was something that everybody loved to get their picture taken standing by the stairs.
So this would be equivalent to the big staircases in a modern cruise ship. Everyone would come down the staircase and get their picture taken with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was like.
Yeah. So Eric, we're looking inside the bridal suite here, and this is how many this style of room did you have?
Well, there were 7 what they call deluxe suites, and there was 100 rooms that just had a washstand in them. These actually had ensuite bathrooms. all the service once you got outside your room was the same for everybody, but some rooms were more first class than others, and the rooms in this part of the ship were the best. This is a bridal suite, as you can see, and it shows you the elegance of what was available to passengers.
Would all the passengers be effectively, they were all essentially first class people,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
This wasn't a cheap trip for
It was not
for
cheap,
tourists.
and
It was,
everybody dressed all the time, shirt and tie for men. You would never see a bathing suit on the top deck. I mean, this was very much a first class ship.
right.
All right, this is the Flower Pot Lounge. As you can see, it's a lounge area downstairs, and these are the promenade suites on the upper deck. So they would go down there and sit before dinner, and the piano would play, or they'd come down after dinner and they'd have sing-songs. So it's quite a popular part of the ship.
I see the planters have Keewatin right on it. Is that original?
Yep, they're all original. And of course, the plants were real in those days.
Yes, of course. Eric, we're in the bar here. It's quite ornate. What's the significance of all the carved wood panels here?
Well, these were all hand done in Scotland, and they were part of Canadian Pacific's expression of how they felt about multiculturalism and populating Canada. And you'll notice they all represent various races and peoples that came to Canada to build it. So you've got Africans, you've got Indonesians, you've got Chinese, you've got Arabs. There's a young girl, there's a maritimer. In this corner over here, you've got North American Indians. So it just reinforced why you were coming to Canada back in the early 1900s.
So Eric, we're in the kitchen here. It's great. Tell me about what's going on here, the utensils.
Well, the ship came with everything that was on it when it was a working ship. Like this is a toaster. I mean, we had electricity on this ship in 1907, so we had electric appliances. Now I don't think the Mixmaster is 1907, but it certainly is probably 1920s. Look at the size of the soup ladle.
Oh wow!
And a meat grinder, and all of this, as I say, is original. One of the favorites of the people to come on the tours, everybody likes to see this thing here, the masher.
Potato masher.
And then we had some unique things like this. Do you know what this is?
Looks like a salad bar table.
No, you see? Take that off. You move that out to there. You put in a block of butter. Do that.
Cube it.
That.
Yeah.
And then you drop it there. Butter patties.
Butter patties.
There you go.
Wow. And the food would first of all this is cold storage down here.
Yeah, that's the cold storage. It's a cast iron fireplace.
Yeah.
And it was made in England in 1906 or so. Oh, sorry, it was made in Glasgow. It says right on it.
Yeah.
Mavis Bay, Glasgow. But you'll see how they have these on here for warming. They don't leave it on the actual stovetop.
Right.
But then they could also fry on here, and they could bake bread in the ovens here.
And the cooks would stoke that.
Yep, they would keep it going 24/7.
24/7.
This kitchen was always working.
And then the food would actually pass through to the plating area where the waiters would pick it up through the other side here.
That's right.
Gee, all these chairs are bolted down to the floor and they swivel into the table.
Yes, they do. And these are all original from 1907, as is the parquet floor, as is the beautiful woodwork, the cabinetry, all the dishes. The reason they're bolted to the floor is when the ship would hit heavy weather, it would not only go up and down, it would go side to side, because as you know, we're long and narrow. Mm-hmm. We didn't want to lose any of the passengers. And you'd wonder if waves would get up this high. One storm, I don't actually remember it. I was on board asleep when we were hit with a rogue wave in Lake Superior, and it took out 5 of the windows on this side.
Wow.
So I got up to not very many passengers being up, and what was of the crew were picking up glass off this floor.
And we've got to be, 30 feet off the ground here?
Oh, easy, more than that.
Wow.
Look outside, you can see the drop.
And the dining room, would it sit all of the passengers at once, or were there different seatings?
122 seats. We carried 288 passengers. So you'd have usually 2 sittings, but sometimes you'd have to have part of a third.
Right. Would the kids eat dinner with the parents at the same time?
Yeah. Or you could have room service. See, some people would eat room service.
All right.
These are the boiler faces, and they'd be identical on the other side as well. And there'd be a man working here shoveling coal, and there'd be a man on the other side. And they would have to shovel 8 to 12 shovelfuls every 20 minutes into these fires.
How long will their shifts be?
They'd be 4 hours on, and then they'd have 8 hours off and 4 hours on. So you had 3 shifts that constantly rotated.
Right, and so there was 4 guys on each boiler.
No,
Four
one
guys
on this side and one on the other side, 2 firemen. Okay, this is a reciprocal steam engine. It's a quadruple expansion reciprocal steam engine, built in 1907, which is 106 years ago. It's 5 years older than the engines that were on Titanic. Now, Titanic had 3 engines. It had 2 reciprocal steam engines, and it had a turbine engine in the middle. And the reciprocal steam engines generated the power to run the turbine, although they all had propellers as well. It was basically the turbine was the main engine for Titanic. So if you ever wondered what the engines on Titanic looked like, they would have been very similar to this, but they were a triple expansion, which meant it only had 3 cylinders instead of 4. So it was a more efficient version of this same engine.
And would they be larger scale as well?
No, same size.
Same scale?
Yeah, same
Wow.
size. This is 3,300 horsepower this generates, and the ones on Titanic did 3,300 each.
Eric, in terms of the staff that would be down here on the engineering side, total staff would be?
Well, you got 2 firemen, you've got 1 engineer, you got 1 oiler, you got 1 water management guy, and you got an electrician. So you'd have 7.
And how often, other than maintaining it, would the ship have to go in for retrofit from time to time?
Not retrofit from time to time. They would do their own maintenance. You'd only take it in if there was something serious. As you can see by all the tools and all the bits and pieces, you know, they've got pretty much spares for anything on this engine.
And
Over the years, it was obviously re-engineered certain parts of it, but it actually sailed for 60 seasons and never lost a passenger.
wow. And I guess as far as major work, if they could wait, there was a period of time in the wintertime when the ship would be laid up, but they could work on it. Is that right?
Yeah, and they would leave the engine running, or the boilers running at very low, and they'd always have a caretaker.
Yeah.
So Eric, this is a big undertaking. You must have a lot of people that help out. Is this a volunteer-driven organization?
It's an all-volunteer organization, and they do have a lot. Like Linda Keenan here is the head of the ticket sales. Mm-hmm. I've got another group that does all the housekeeping. They stage the rooms and keep it all clean and sparkling. We got a group called the Bilge Rats that keep all the maintenance of the ship and do all the building. We have a group that are the engineers that actually run everything mechanical on the ship. I've got a group that does events and promotions, and an administrative group and a retail group.
How many altogether?
About 112.
112. That's a big staff.
Yeah, well, it's not a staff; it's all volunteers.
They're volunteers,
Big
but they're all
difference
working
between
for the
that.
same
They
cause,
all
right?
work for the same cause,
Yeah.
right, Linda?
Right. We love it.
Right. Beautiful. Eric, I want to thank you for the tour. It's a fantastic piece of
glad you
history.
come by.
I mean, people watching this video, they got to come here. It's just unbelievable. There's just so much, interesting, intricate things that is so well preserved. I mean, this is, you'll never find this anywhere else in the world.
That's absolutely true.
And they've got a store here, and you can buy souvenirs, and it's just a great place to bring the kids for a day. And
Kids are free.
Kids are free. I didn't
12
know
and
that.
12 and under free.
Kids are free, and it's just a great place for people to find out about how Canada became Canada. And if you're into marine history, you can't find it any better. Thank you, Eric.
Good, thanks.
So what do you think of the ship, guys?
Well, I'm glad that they're restoring it. They're still working on it. You can't see the whole ship, but in a few years, everyone in the area who wants to come and see it can see the whole ship and
Right.
how it looked when it was first built.
Now, you've been on this ship before, correct?
Yeah, I'm from Michigan.
Oh, okay, so you've been to what was its home port in Michigan and visited it when it was a museum there? Yep.
Yeah, it was in Douglas, Michigan.
Good. So you made the trip up just to see the ship today, or?
Well, that was the main purpose, but we ended up doing a ton of other things. We went to Niagara Falls in Toronto, but I'm really glad that we got to see this.
In this segment of Boating Georgian Bay, and in the next episode of Boating Georgian Bay as well, we'll be looking at some of the marinas on the bay. By the way, this is Grover. He's a Georgian Bay dog, born in Killarney. Y Heritage is the biggest freshwater marina in Canada. Things about Y Heritage Marina is it has the on-site Henry's restaurant, so you can get fresh pickerel right in the marina. With Jay Forrest at the beautiful Y Heritage Marina, and what we're doing in this segment is learning a little bit about some of the best marinas on Georgian Bay. So Jay, this is my home port, and I've noticed over the last few years that things have really, got nice and improved and tip-top service. I'm assuming you must put your staff through a lot of training and things like that. And tell me a little bit about what you do to keep your marina top-notch.
Thank you for the compliment. We really appreciate that, Mark. When we were sold 2 seasons ago and purchased by Parkbridge Lifestyle Communities, it was obvious from the very beginning that the emphasis was going to be on improving the facility itself, making it more enjoyable for our boaters, making it a destination point for folks, and being able to offer the best service on the bay, and that's what we work towards.
And what are your plans moving forward with the marina? Is there anything big on the horizon? That
Always some maintenance items that we're working on. For next season, we'll be changing all of the washrooms in our main building area. We'll be changing the washrooms in our service area as well, along with some continual building improvements to try and make it just that much nicer.
Well, listen, thank you very much for talking with us today. It's a pleasure, and it's a pleasure to have Hawaii as our home port.
Thank you. I
And,
appreciate your
appreciate it very
support,
much.
and we're here to try and do the best job we can.
The main marina complex features a restaurant, washrooms for the guests, and lounge area for guests, as well as a fully equipped marine channeling. So, Bill, wonderful marina you have here. What was the vision in building this marina? How many years, first of all, you've been in business, and kind of what was your vision for the marina?
The marina's just celebrated its 20th year, and Barry and Liz Honeyman, the owners, they started it off. Primarily, they were boaters themselves, and they wanted to build something that was for boaters by boaters. So all the amenities that you would normally expect, and then some more.
So, Bill, how many slips does the marina have?
Full to capacity is 130 boats, and we are at capacity at this time.
And full gas stock service?
Full gas stock, we've got gas, diesel, pump out, propane, potable water, anything that you need, we can supply it.
And you do transient docking, of course, as well?
We do a very good, strong transient business. We're good supporters of the Great Lakes Cruiser Club, and we also do a lot of looper business. They all seem to find us a good destination.
The channeler even has a good selection of frozen steaks and seafood. And look, they even stock Boating Georgian Bay boat cleaner. Gas docks at the marina. Transient docking available also. We're here in the town of Gravenhurst to enjoy the Muskoka Boat Show and Rib Fest. Join us to take a look through the show. Nori, tell me about the Muskoka Boat Show and Rib Fest.
We are located at the Muskoka Wharf in beautiful Gravenhurst. We have 3 docks full of new boats, over 100 exhibitors, and then we've got the Muskoka Rib Fest running in conjunction all weekend. We've got great food, fabulous prizes to be won, and we've got live entertainment all throughout the weekend.
How many years have you been doing it?
This will be the 7th year for the Boat and Cottage Show and the 8th year for the Rib Fest.
Fantastic. That looks like a good venue.
It's beautiful, it's perfect. What better place to come down and see boat and cottage exhibits and enjoy food than at the beautiful Muskoka Wharf.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are a number of docks featuring dealership boats for display and for people to walk upon. I'm here with Sam from Deep Tracker. Sam, tell me about your product.
We make a remotely operated submarine vehicle. So essentially the little ROV that we have here has a camera on it, and you have a small joystick with a screen, and you can drive it down to the bottom of the lake and see what's under the water. You can look at shipwrecks, you can look at fish, you can check out what's under the docks, look at the hull of your boat, check if you've nicked your prop on anything, look at all the features of the bottom of the lake, and generally have a lot of fun.
It's like a great product.
It's a lot of fun, I'll tell you that.
Gravenhurst is also home to the Winnoa and Sequin steamships. There is a midway here for the kids, so a great place to bring the family for an afternoon. So we're here at Horn Dogs Ribs and Barbecue, and tell me what you're up to here today.
Today we are, it's our first day of Ribs Fest, so we're starting out at another awesome weekend. Hopefully the weather holds up for us. We're last year's defending champions, best ribs and best sauce.
And so people get to vote for your ribs, do they?
Yes, they do. As well, on Sunday, they have a judging competition as well.
Good.
So there's people's choice and judges' choice.
They look delicious.
They taste even better.
You see there's lots of competing rib joints here, and live entertainment at night as well. This goes on from noon on, and at 6 p.m. the bands start. Here with the Padillac Chair Company. Tell me about your chairs.
These chairs, we hand build these chairs out of paddles and oars. They're all authentic paddles. We got an idea that the world needed chairs made out of paddles, so away we went. We've been at this for a couple of years, and so I recently retired, and so we're up here in Gravenhurst trying to let people see our stuff, and hopefully they'll like it and buy a few off us.
Are they comfortable?
Very comfortable. Best chair ever designed to help you have a nice cold beer, so you can't do without them.